Today we are putting two of the world leaders head to head. We've got the Royal Enfield Classic 650 and the Triumph Speedmaster 1200. And I know what you're thinking. The Speedmaster is double the engine size and double the price, but is it double the bike? Now, we've been riding both of these bikes for quite a while now. This one for the last sort of month, and this one we've had for the last few days, but we've ridden it extensively over the years. So we've got a really good understanding about what both of these motorcycles are like. And today we've ridden them back to back, jumping off of each one to really understand the differences between these two motorcycles. And my first impressions actually surprised me. This Royal Enfield, if anything, feels slightly bigger when you're sat on the bike. It's definitely a taller motorcycle, so I suppose if you're a short person you might be better off on the Speedmaster because it's lower to the ground, and you've also got less ground clearance on the Speedmaster. But the Royal Enfield just feels a little bit more easy to handle. You feel like you can tell this bike to do what you want it to do and it will do it. Whereas the Triumph is a little bit more of a brute in the corners. It's kind of, you have to wrestle it a bit more, and because you've got a fatter front tyre and a fatter rear tyre, it kind of follows the undulations in the road more. So if you've got a really undulating road like this one that we've just ridden on, it wants to follow every little undulation, so you have to wrestle it to stop it going into a ditch, whereas you don't really feel that so much on the Classic 650.
Now, of course, the Triumph Speedmaster is the faster bike. It's 1200cc as opposed to 650. It's got 30 horsepower more than the Classic 650, and it's got double the torque. But saying that, the Royal Enfield Classic 650 is no slouch. It's a lovely bike to ride, and it's got just the right amount of power and torque, so you can open it up and really thrash it if you want to, and you're not going to get yourself into a silly sticky situation. Whereas the Triumph with 1200cc and all that power and torque, you kind of could. And I know there are many bikes with way more power than this, but this has got enough to put you in a situation if you haven't got the skills or the sense. So perhaps if your thing is going on long journeys on lots of motorways, freeways, dual carriageways, then the added speed, power, torque, acceleration of this may do you well. Whereas on the back roads like we are here today in the countryside or in India, this is just the right amount of power and torque for the real world. And I do enjoy a 650. I really do love the 650cc engines. It sounds really interesting. It's got a lot of mechanical noises, a lovely gear change. You can feel everything working with you, as you can with this. It's also got a very nice, interesting character. It's got a lovely sound to it as well with these exhaust pipes. It's got a bit more of a growl, but this has got a nice sound as well. And of course you can change exhaust pipes to get the sound that you like.
So when you are on the back roads in the countryside like we are today, the Royal Enfield feels like it soaks up the bumps a little bit better than the Triumph. It has got a slightly firmer seat, whereas the Triumph seat is really nice and padded. So that kind of balances it out a little bit. But if I was doing mainly back road riding, I would definitely choose the Royal Enfield over the Speedmaster. We've been trying out some new riding gear recently because I've never actually bought a leather jacket for myself, and I was desperately looking for a nice leather jacket. So we've got this Goldtop jacket to try out. It's absolutely stunning. It's such high quality. It really is the best quality jacket I've ever had. It smells fantastic, it's beautiful leather. So I'm really impressed with this. We've both got a pair of gloves, which are the most comfortable gloves we've ever had. And we've got this tank bag, which is a beautiful quality leather. The inside of it's stunning, and it can fit all of our camera gear in there. So it's really revolutionised the way we ride because we don't need to have a bag on our back to come and do our filming. Now, we'd love to have Goldtop on board as a channel sponsor. So to help convince them, we've left a link in the description to their website, and we need your help by clicking the link to check out their products. You don't have to buy anything, but I'm sure when you go on there you might be tempted because there's some really great quality stuff on there. But don't go into Google and type it in. click the link in the description because it will help us out massively.
Now, one thing to add about this tank bag is it's magnetic. So if you've got a nice clean paintwork, no dust, so you don't scratch it, and you've got a leather back there, and you just put it on, it stays on. I mean, we've been going 70 miles an hour down the motorway, rock steady, it's perfect.
So when it comes down to the quality, I think that is a really, really interesting point on both of these bikes, because this bike starts at £6,499 in this colour, £6,499, whereas the Triumph starts at £13,100. So is it that much better quality? I'm not sure if it is. Now, if you look at this front end of this Royal Enfield, everything is perfect. The front headlamp is beautiful, this lovely peak is stunning, fantastic design, really high quality, beautiful analogue dial. I really like the way they've put this tripper pod navigation system in here. It really does look beautiful. The handlebars are stunning. This handlebar clamp is just perfect quality. I've said it before, but these switchgear, I think they're actually the nicest switchgear I've seen on any motorcycle ever. They are that good, that fantastic quality. The wheels are beautiful. The wheel hub is a really nice design. It looks very classic. The front mudguard is a proper sized classic mudguard, beautiful quality. The mudguard on the Triumph is too small. It's metal as well. It is a nice design. I do like this sort of pin stripe. I don't even know what to call that. A little ridge on the top, which is very nice, but it's not big enough. The finish on the forks on this classic 650 is beautiful. You've got this very classic cover on there, beautiful. The finish on the Triumph forks has got this sort of ripple paint, which is very similar to the ripple paint that you get on the frame of this classic 650. I don't particularly like it, to be honest, on either bike. That's why if I was choosing the classic 650, I'd go for the teal version, because you get the teal frame and it's a smooth gloss finish as well. The frame on the Triumph is a nice gloss black finish. Fuel tank, they're both beautiful fuel tanks. Lovely petrol caps, although the one on the Royal Enfield is a locking petrol cap, whereas this one isn't. The mirrors, both bikes have got nice mirrors. Switchgear on the Triumph is pretty nice. It's one of the nicer ones. It's metal as well, but it's not quite as nice as the classic 650. And I did notice on the right hand side, the back of this switchgear on this side is really rough finish and the front is a smooth finish. So I don't like it when there's two different finishes on one product. I think that should be all in the smooth black finish. The dial on the Speedmaster isn't as nice. It's a little bit plasticky. I really do think the Speedmaster should have a more premium looking analog dial. This one feels a little bit cheap for the price of this motorcycle. Lovely bars, but you'll notice on this bike that you've got the handlebar clamp isn't as nice as the classic 650, but it's a different colour to the top of the forks. So you've got a grey, you've got a silver, you've got a different silver. So you've got sort of 3 or 4 different shades going on, where it would be nice to just have them matching in the same colour.
Now, looking at the engine on the Royal Enfield Classic 650, it's beautiful, beautiful. Air cooled, air stroke oil. There's a small oil cooler radiator at the front there. Obviously the Triumph's water cooled, but it's got that air cooled look, which is very nice. But in terms of the quality of finish, this is beautiful, and so is that. I mean, they're both beautiful engines, finished to the highest standard. You can't fault either of them. Now, the foot pegs and the levers, the foot peg levers, whatever they're called, they're perfectly good on this, but on the Triumph, as you'd expect for the money, they are a nicer quality metal and finish, so they're very beautiful. We've often remarked about those, they're lovely. Now, looking over here, each exhaust pipe comes from each cylinder, obviously, but they don't connect on the Royal Enfield Classic 650, whereas on the Triumph, They connect and join each other underneath with a lot of that big chunky stuff that you have to have often to put the catalytic converter and all that stuff in. So outwardly it looks fine, but when you get underneath you notice that. Now the wheels on the Speedmaster are a beautiful chrome finish, faultless, beautiful. On the Royal Enfield Classic 650, I don't know, I think they're aluminium if you're American. So very nice, but slightly different. Now the hubs, as Darcy mentioned, are lovely on this. They're a beautiful polished finish. Never seen better ones ever. On the Triumph they're a painted black finish. Very good quality, but these just look so nice being shiny. The back light situation here, I think this is a very attractive looking light and indicators. The indicators are very similar on both bikes, but I think this being a nice round light looks a little bit nicer than this sort of oval shaped one, and then you've got this kind of plasticky thing hanging out the back there, which kind of spoils it a little bit, but you don't really see it on this bike. There is some sort of plastic mounting, but it's hidden.
By subscribing to this channel, your decision making in choosing your next motorcycle will be made just that bit easier.
And on the Classic 650 you've got twin shocks, which we really have grown to love and prefer. It was a big thing in the 80s when monoshocks first came out and everyone wanted them. And this obviously has a monoshock, and the suspension spring is under the seat here. It tucks it out of the way, gives you that hardtail look. But I do think twin shocks are making a comeback, certainly in modern classic motorcycles, and they do look lovely.
Now I'll give you a few specs at the end, but really to summarise, if you want speed, then the Speedmaster is the master of speed. So it's the one to go for if that's what you're after. But if you're not after speed and you take price out of the equation, I don't really think it's double the value or double the amount of motorcycle. I think the Royal Enfield is every bit as good quality, and it's enough power than you would ever need. You don't need more power than this motorcycle produces, and a lot of people do want to have the most powerful this or that, but it doesn't bother me, and I think this is plenty enough. The Triumph, sometimes when you go over a bump, you can find yourself accidentally yanking on the throttle and you can get yourself into some serious trouble because suddenly it really goes. Whereas that is less likely to happen on the Royal Enfield. But the Triumph at slow speed does have a really nice feel to it. But if anything, I think it is perhaps too much for most of the roads, especially where we live. You just don't find yourself needing that much power and torque. But if you are someone who wants that much power and torque, then you'll really love this motorcycle because it delivers it in a fantastic way. And I think this kind of bike would really be suited to countries like America, because you've got these big open highways and massive roads, and this would be so well suited to those type of roads. Now I'm going to run through some of the main specs of these motorcycles, and I'm going to read them off a bit of paper because I cannot be bothered to memorise, or I can't physically memorise 10 different specs in one go, so do bear with me. Now the Speedmaster produces 76.9 brake horsepower at 6,100 RPM, whereas the Classic is 46.4 brake horsepower at 7,150 RPM. The Speedmaster produces 106 Nm of torque at 4,000 RPM. The Classic is 52.3 Nm at 5,650 RPM. So everything peaks lower down in the rev range on the Triumph, and it's got a lot more of it. It's got a 12 litre fuel tank on this, whereas the Classic has got a bigger fuel tank of 14.8 litres. The Speedmaster weighs 263 kilograms, whereas the Classic is 243 kilos. So the Classic is a heavy bike for its engine size, but then the Speedmaster is a light bike for its engine size. So I suppose they're close, but I mean a lot of other bikes of this ilk are 300 kilograms plus. The wheelbase on the Classic 650 is 1,475 millimeters, that is, whereas the Speedmaster is 1,500 millimeters, so slightly longer wheelbase. But if anything, I couldn't find the rake figures for the Classic, but we could for this, and this has got a rake of 25.3 degrees. We couldn't find the figure for the Classic, but if anything, the Triumph felt a little bit more twitchy, whereas the Classic felt a little bit more sure-footed. In terms of fuel economy, the Speedmaster burns 4.5 litres of fuel per 100 kilometres, whereas the Classic 650 burns 4.66 litres per 100 kilometres. So somehow this Triumph is ever so slightly more economical than the Classic 650, which has surprised me.